I personally love the Premier League and all the layers of football in England. The passion and intensity throughout every level is unrivaled. So with that, here are my 15 favorite teams to experience this passion with, once FC26 drops. Sorted from the easiest challenge to win the Premier League to the hardest challenge. First on the list is Manchester United. The red side of Manchester has endured years and years of pain since winning their last Premier League title in 2013. Yes, they've won some trophies in the Europa League, Carabao Cup, and FA Cup, but everyone knows they've been closer to the laughingstock of England than the feared and hated superpower they once were under Alex Ferguson. This summer, they once again spent a boatload of money on new players, and like every year, the hype for the new season has built up among their loyal fans. But once again, the question is whether they can rediscover their form or not. For FC26, Manchester United is the ideal club for players looking for a quick challenge where they can win the Premier League and maybe even make an impact in the Champions League within 3 seasons. While this might prove difficult for Manchester United in real life, their enormous budget in FC26 should make this a doable time span. Alternatives to Manchester United, in my opinion, could be Chelsea and Aston Villa. People looking for a slightly bigger challenge should take a look at Newcastle United. Even though their budget is not as massive as Manchester United's, it's still huge and gives you loads of transfer opportunities. For this season, their squad remained largely the same with a few expensive additions. However, Newcastle did lose their superstar striker Isak on a Premier League record fee just before the transfer deadline. Not having him play for Newcastle United might make this a more substantial challenge, but definitely not less fun. Also, as it was a Premier League record signing for Liverpool, you as Newcastle United get a substantial increase in transfer budget, which will make things interesting. An alternative to Newcastle United is Tottenham. Next up is Nottingham Forest, who had an amazing season last year, resulting in them returning to European football in the Conference League. Nottingham has made some solid signings that should add extra quality and much-needed depth for the additional matches they'll be playing this season. But following up such a great season always proves to be a challenge and should provide us players with an interesting save. Plus, you'll be playing at the wonderful nostalgic city ground with its great atmosphere, one of the oldest stadiums around. Nottingham could be on the brink of making that next step and cementing their spot for years to come at the top of the Premier League, giving us players a nice 3 to 5 year challenge of restoring the former glory of this beautiful club. Alternatives to Nottingham Forest include Crystal Palace, who achieved European football through the FA Cup, as well as Brighton, Bournemouth, and Brentford. Moving on to the blue side of Liverpool, where Everton proudly debuted their new stadium this season, retiring the old and proud Goodison Park for the new water-sided Hill Dickinson Stadium. But building a new stadium doesn't really reflect the years Everton have had. Not too long ago, the team would regularly hover around European football, sometimes going a little higher one year and just missing out the next. But the last few years have been marked by financial troubles and even point deductions. Somehow, though, Everton have managed to stay up in the Premier League and maybe even find some solid ground. For us career mode fanatics, Everton represent another perfect fallen giant challenge. They've made a few solid signings this summer, but with their squad valued among the bottom 6 of the Premier League, there's loads of work to be done when taking over Everton. Alternatives to Everton are Fulham and West Ham United, clubs with long and beautiful Premier League histories, who might also be looking at a difficult season. For the final Premier League teams on this list, we head to the 3 newly promoted sides. Leeds, Burnley, and Sunderland all return to the Premier League this season, and for each of them, survival will be a monumental task. All 3 rank at the very bottom in terms of total market value of their squads. All 3 have invested heavily, with multiple signings over the 10 million range. But in the Premier League, those transfers are peanuts compared to what their competitors spent. While Burnley and Leeds returned fairly quickly after 1 and 2 seasons in the Championship respectively, Sunderland finally make their return after almost 10 years earning promotion the hard way through the playoffs. These 3 teams represent an amazing challenge, where you first must fight to survive in the Premier League before you can even look toward real glory. They offer some true long-term fun and investment for players who want to build something special. But these returning Premier League teams are just the beginning of the long-term fun, as we now start looking at the lower tiers of English football. Starting with Leicester City, who are back in the Championship after 1 miserable Premier League season. I feel like I mention the Foxes every year since I've started making these types of videos, but that's just because of the impact their Premier League title season had on football globally. In recent years, things have gone up and down for Leicester City, and for the first time in forever, they are now without the colorful Jamie Vardy. A new era starts in Leicester. Even though they should rank among the best teams in the Championship and should be eyeing promotion, the Championship might just be the toughest league in football. And this is definitely true in FC26. It's match after match against very equal opponents, and the depth of your squad will be tested. Alternatives to a lengthy Leicester rebuild are obviously Southampton and Ipswich, who joined Leicester in relegation, but also Coventry, who once again missed out on promotion via the playoffs last year. Next up in the Championship is Birmingham City, who went from being relegated to League One to resounding League One champions last year, and are now looking to make their mark in the Championship. At the time of writing, they've started their return in good fashion, but who knows where this might end. With Birmingham, we're talking about a career mode of years and years, where you'll always be looking for that next step up. Unfortunately, Birmingham City's St. Andrew's Stadium isn't featured in FC26, which will hurt immersion a little. However, there are plenty of other championship teams with their stadiums included in FC26, so you'll still get that authentic feel. One of those teams with their stadium featured in FC26 is Stoke City. Just like the Foxes, I often mention Stoke in videos like these. For Stoke, it's obviously not about some global impact they made in recent history. For me, this goes back to their 10-season Premier League run between 2008 and 2018, where they were a solid mid-table team for a long time, playing good old kick-and-rush football, while the rest of the league was modernizing and playing more fluid styles. For me personally, Stoke City will always represent that type of football I grew up watching. When taking over Stoke, try to achieve what they did 10 to 15 years ago. Sign some strong defensive beasts and a striker up top who is a real force to be reckoned with. Add some technically sound players to recover rebounds and create some magic. Bonus points if you can replicate Rory Delap's legendary long throw-ins. After back-to-back-to-back promotions and making history, Wrexham now face their toughest challenge yet. Just like Leicester and Stoke, I've mentioned Wrexham in previous videos these last 2 years. People either seem to love the Wrexham story or hate it, but everybody must acknowledge their results are historic. Like I said, this season will obviously be their toughest yet. I think Wrexham's story is basically what every career mode player dreams of when starting a road to glory. So why not continue and finish their story with a bang? Just like Birmingham miss out on St. Andrew's Stadium, Wrexham's race course ground is also not featured in FC26, which is too bad, but for me, not a deal breaker. All in all, Wrexham should be good for at least 5 to 10 years of great fun in career mode. Another stadium missing in FC26 is the home of Blackburn Rovers, Ewood Park. This historic place has seen incredible moments with the Premier League Championship in 1995 as the biggest standout. But now it's been over a decade since their last Premier League fixture, and it even got as bad as a season in League One. Unfortunately, this beautiful club hasn't come close to a Premier League return since their relegation in 2012. But that only makes their potential journey more rewarding. Focus on building a great youth academy as your foundation and try to bring them back to a level they once had, but now can only dream of. Another team with a beautiful Premier League history, and also our final championship pick, is Portsmouth. The supporters of Portsmouth went through absolute hell and back after all the issues the club faced around 15 years ago. From not knowing if the club would still exist the next day to almost dropping into the National League, they picked themselves up and through hard work and dedication are now back for their second season in the Championship. The club is still far away from the good old days, but the trend is definitely upward. Plus, good old Fratton Park is actually featured and refreshed, which adds to the immersion of this great port city. With Portsmouth, you could have yourself another 5 to 10 year long adventure in career mode without it ever getting boring. Now for our 4 final teams, we have 2 from League One and 2 from League Two. I get that these leagues might be for the diehard fans, but I still think these 4 teams offer a great story or challenge. Keep in mind there are many other teams in Leagues 1 and 2 with similar stories and passionate fans, but these 4 just stood out to me. In League 1, we have Bolton Wanderers and Stockport County. Less than 15 years ago, Bolton were a solid Premier League team, but ever since their relegation, it's been all downhill without even coming close to a return. Stockport's story is the other way around. Their journey is similar to the aforementioned Wrexham, but without all the glitz and glamour. After relegation to non-league football in 2011, the club has seen it all but is now back with hope. They finished 3rd in their first season in League One, which is remarkable, but their fairy tale ended with a playoff defeat on penalties against Leyton Orient, who later lost to Charlton Athletic in the Wembley final, and now our final two teams of this video, both from League Two, both with recent history in the National League. The first is Notts County, our second team from Nottingham. They have real aspirations to get out of League Two and into League One this season. Last year they came very close, but got knocked out of the playoffs by eventual winners Wimbledon. Now it's back to the drawing board to take another shot at promotion. Our final team represents the biggest challenge possible in the English football pyramid, Oldham Athletic. They only just got promoted to League Two via the playoffs last season, after 3 years in the National League. They have the lowest valued squad in all of English League football, and on paper are the favorites to be relegated straight back down. Oldham Athletic is as low as you can go in FC26, and with that, the biggest challenge possible. So there you have it, 15 teams from guaranteed glory to the ultimate underdog stories. No matter how you like to play, there's a perfect career mode save waiting for you in FC26. Thanks for watching.